like all the way to your butt?
Go off, King.
Where you're like standing up?
Oh, now I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good stretch.
I don't know. It's a great stretch. Honestly, I feel like you shouldn't have said, yeah, I know what you're talking about, so I just keep saying weird shit. Try to explain it.
We need more stuff for the intro.
Yeah, really. No, those good foot butt stretches, you know? Alrighty. Hello and welcome to YASEcast. We are coming at you once again. With me this week, well, first of all, I'm Lamo. With me this week, I have Morgan.
I'm not Lamo.
You're definitely not. And I got Snooze.
Hello, I am Spartacus.
He is Snoozicus.
Snoozicus.
And we're holding it down today, the three of us, talking about what we've been doing, what's going on in the world, what's going on in our little corner of the world, the Yase Empire, etc. The list goes on. You know how it works.
Let's not talk about what's going on in the world, because that's going to be a sad conversation.
Yeah, actually, good call.
I mean, it's going to come out, segment. But like, ugh.
Yeah. Just happy thoughts about all that shit right now, as best as we can, at least.
In desperate need of vibes.
That's true. Vibes are at an all-time low. Waiting on the government to help us get these vibes in. They're blocking the vibe. We got vibes ready to go at the borders. We got vibes on trucks. We got vibes in boats.
We need a vibe stimulus.
They're waiting to get into the country.
This is getting lewd.
Not yet, but
soon.
Maybe.
We'll see.
But speaking of vibes, though, what have you all been vibing with lately? What's been going on? What have you been watching? What have you been doing? Things are. I'm pretty sure all three of us are pretty much working just from home nowadays.
Yep, 100%.
So have you been staying sane, or at least trying to?
Let's see. I'll go first if y'all don't mind.
Yeah.
So
do it up.
It has been rough out here. Out in Maryland, we got our shelter-in-place order as I think it was yesterday at 8 p.m. But I've also forgotten what day of the week it is. And I guess I was already sheltering in place, but actually having the order come down was pretty jarring, because it kind of puts everything in context of like, this isn't gonna. It's gonna be a month or 2 months with this. And that's been rough. I'm really lucky to have my dog. If you follow me on Twitter, you have also seen my dog recently. But I've been trying to keep things together. You know, I've been lucky enough. We'll see how this happens in the future. But like, my girlfriend's been able to come up on the weekends. And the last time we recorded, I was a little bit disappointed in myself for mostly cooking like beans and rice and like kind of sad girl meals. So this last weekend when she was up here, we got really into like the Bon Appetit cinematic universe, and
hell yeah,
it has been a life-opening experience. I started making stir fries with quick pickled onions, got really invested in like types of cheeses, and then we both came across, since like we're gay and stuff, an episode where Claire's wearing like a red flannel and making bread. We're both like, it's like, so like, is this what I think this is? Is this bait?
Have you claimed her?
It's like, is she gay? I'm not sure. But I want her to be.
I feel like you've already like since you've gone over the threshold of, I'm just going to do some quick pickling for some vegetables. It's like, once you start pickling things, I feel like you've ascended to another level of cook.
Oh, definitely.
You're no longer just like, yeah, I cook. I cook to eat. It's like, no, if you're pickling shit. Nah, you're on some shit, and that's some good shit to be on.
It is good shit to be on, and I'm real excited because like at first it was like a little bit of vinegar, some lemon juice on an onion. Use that onion in a stir fry to add a little bit of acidity to the dish, and it was good. But I thought it could be better. So when I went up to H Mart to get groceries, I got this big, sort of like it's a big tub of Thai green chilies, and I thought to myself, these chilies is good. But I went and I made a brine, grabbed a jar, and I am currently pickling them chilies. And I am mad excited, and it's been a nice thing, while I'm home, to be able to really kind of force myself and sort of in a self-care way to like, don't just make the drip coffee, make the French press coffee. Don't just fry an egg. Like, try to do something extra for myself. And like, that's been a good thing lately.
It's you kind of need to start looking at, especially considering you're at home for so long and yeah, it's easy to fall in the trap. I'm just gonna make the convenience meals, but it's good and important too to kind of not only just treat yourself in making something nicer, but to kind of stimulate yourself mentally by, hey, I'm going to make something new and I'm going to mess around and do some experimentation in the kitchen because, hell, I mean, at least speaking for me personally, I know I absolutely get lazy with that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm actually doing a different recipe. I'm way more engaged in what I'm doing. It's way more rewarding, too.
Definitely.
I know we kind of talked about cooking a little bit lately, and yeah, God, it's the one nice thing about more or less being stuck at home is that you end up cooking a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, it's great. And when you have the time for it, it does open up a lot of like, I have my usual meals like my curries and whether it's Thai curry or Japanese curry or like gonna make like spaghetti and whatever. But when you have, taken the time to explore and do stuff, like hell, I might, before this is all over, get really into making bread. And that'll be great. Just to like take, figure out new things, pick up new hobbies, and all along the way get really overly invested in these YouTube cooks and their relationships and have some maybe questionably healthy parasocial relationships.
So I need to ask, who's your favorite test kitchen personality right now?
It's definitely Claire. Like,
Claire's very good.
She's got this energy where she's just like always just a little bit angry, and you're always wondering, is this going to be the episode where she goes off on somebody?
There's a Twitter account. I think it's like both. It's like Bon Appetit Test Kitchen, like out of context. And there's so many good just fucking quotes from Claire on there. Where it's like, I need you to understand, I can accept zero criticism right now of her just like looking at Brad and oh god, it might have been Brad and Andy, but it's just. I love the Bon Appetit Test Kitchen so much.
It's wonderful. And Claire is just definitely always like right at her limit. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's day 3. I'm making these cookies. The dough didn't set overnight. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And it's like, go, Claire.
I highly recommend watching any of the It's Alive episodes where she and Brad team up on something. There's a 3-parter with sourdough donuts. That is hilarious.
I think that's the one we started watching, where she had like a red flannel on. And we were both like, is she gay? I kind of want her to be. Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's been, there's been that. And also in terms of having, being home means I need background noise. So I dug out my record player and I got some vinyls, and I realized that I had a vinyl of the Mountain Goats album, Beat the Champ, which I was not super warm to the first time I got it. But I put it on, I gave it a spin, and it's been kind of rainy here. It hit absolutely just right. Heel Turn 2 comes on, and that's kind of led into a resurgence of me getting just like really in my feelings, walking around my neighborhood listening to the Mountain Goats.
Yeah, God. I mean, behind the scenes, Morgan and I talk about the Mountain Goats a fucking ton.
I mean, we should.
We both absolutely love it. And I honestly kind of am in the same place. Like, I've probably listened to Beat the Champ a handful of times, but it's never, like, really clicked with me. So hearing you say that kind of makes me want to go back to it as well.
Yeah, I don't know, the last couple albums, I honestly, full disclosure, I am a fake Mountain Goats fan. I haven't listened to, I think, the most recent one about D&D. And
in League with Dragons.
Like Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, there's like a Dungeons and Dragons themed Mountain Goats album, which I will probably give a listen to at some point. But Beat the Champ I wasn't super keen on. Goths I liked in moments, but then it wasn't really what I expected. But even going back to that now, I think I've hit a point where I can appreciate it, where I've also found myself at sort of a transitional moment in life.
I think that's been the overwhelming theme with goths. Is like, I know when I first listened to it, I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. I'm not really vibing with this. But then it's just, I kept coming back to it, and there were a lot of things that just really clicked with me. And thematically, I do like it a whole lot too. The idea of being attached to a subculture that's just kind of slowly dying out or is no longer relevant, and you see less people being involved with the scene. And
not to make it really sad, but like that's as of today. I was sitting here looking at all these people talking about as Michigan Masters. So we also, if you're listening to this somehow and you don't play fighting games. All of us are broadly affiliated with the fighting game community, and COVID-19 has hit a lot of these events really hard, and I'm seeing people talking about how this is killing their motivation, and they're like, well, maybe I'm not going to events anymore, or maybe I'm not going to events this year. I don't feel like playing, and I kind of hear, as I'm reading these tweets, I hear like the Rain in Soho instrumental going on in the back where it's like, yeah, this is also a spot that I found myself at where it's like I was very invested in this subculture and like I feel like more disconnected from it. And it's not quite as cool as being a goth, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I gotta ask, Lamo, what is your favorite album from the Mountain Goats? What is your favorite song by the Mountain Goats?
Fuck. Album is probably gonna have to be All Hail West Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's probably a cliche, but I think it's a cliche for a reason.
Yeah, it is.
Oh fuck. Favorite song.
You can give me top three, because one is too hard.
Home Again, Garden Grove off of We Shall All Be Healed.
Mm-hmm.
Up the Wolves off of the Sunset Tree. And oh fuck, was it Jefferson Davis County Blues off All Hail West Texas? Yeah, Jeff Davis County Blues off All Hail West Texas.
Oh, that's
which I feel like there's three very different songs.
But that's the wonder of that discography.
Yeah. I like that as soon as you were allowed three of them, you instantly knew your number one.
Yeah, Jeff Davis County Blues, like I always come back to it. It's very different than a lot of the songs, but there is such a fucking mood to that song and just such a fucking energy about it that just captures this incredibly specific, poignant night driving feeling of just being in your car driving at night and feeling very alone and not having anywhere to go. And the song is in a much more sad way surrounding it, but I love that song. I love that song a whole lot.
It's a vibe that was later translated to the album Tallahassee and applied to the entire state of Florida.
Oh, now I'm like, oh, should I have chosen a song off Tallahassee? No,
don't.
I'm just gonna peek it.
So here's the problem.
Fuck.
So I'm thinking about this for myself now, like top 3 songs, and I'm just looking at the track listing for All Hail West Texas, and I'm like, the best ever death metal band out of Denton, Fall of the Star, High School Running Back, and Color in Your Cheeks, and I'm like, that alone is a good 3.
And it's the first 3 off the album.
I know, it's the first 3 off the album. I'm trying to think. I think I would agree with you overall. Like, overall album, All Hail West Texas, just like, everything about that album, both like how it was recorded, because that's back when it's just John. He's singing,
sitting in his living room into a boombox.
Yeah, into a boombox, and it's
into a boombox that is slowly dying. It has been it's been dying over the course of a couple of months now, and that's kind of what I love about it, because the first thing you hear when you load up the album, you don't hear like, oh, you hear the guitars coming. It's like, no, you hear like the whine of this dying machine,
and then it colors all of the songs, even the songs that are like ostensibly more upbeat, like Color in Your Cheeks, just like are colored by like even like the whining. It kind of comes back, and like especially like listening to albums on vinyl, one thing that I found I really like is that it makes it more like a tactile experience, when you can like hear the actual sort of the machinery producing the music. It's just, like you have the needle going across the grooves, and it adds a character to it. And like All Hail West Texas is an album where that character comes through even in a purely electronic medium like that, where he's like listening to an MP3 of it or whatever.
Yeah, it's such a fucking good album. We could gush about the Mountain Goats and probably this album for forever.
And at least let me get through my top 3, because I've been thinking about this. Sorry. I'm actually thinking about this. All right, album All Hail West Texas for aforementioned reasons. Songs in no particular order. The Mess Inside off All Hail West Texas. When John hits in with that, I wanted you to love me like you used to. I just fall apart. Let's see. Forgive my typing. Sounds on the recording. because I always Never Quite Free off of All Eternal's deck, which is
That album is really good. That I need to listen to that and Transcendental Youth more.
they're all very, very good. But Never Quite Free always hits me in like just the right spot of a song about that feeling where toward the back half of it, there's a line about the waves that have tossed your raft all night have set you on dry land, in the way that like adversity, sometimes you realize that by going through difficult times, they've brought you to the spot that you are in, which, is something that, being 30, I now have like enough life I can look back on and be like, yeah, that's real. All right, and I'm also going to say just up the wolves off of the Sunset Tree. I am going to kill all the judges, and it's going to take you people all
years to recover from
all the damage.
Oh, it's so good.
I saw them live at...
I was surprised you didn't mention Sax Romer off of Heretic Pride.
Sax Romer, that's a number 4.
Okay,
that might be like an interchangeable with Up the Wolves, but I think those first two really hit me. Sax Romer is really up there. Yeah, John Darnielle, just in general, is an angel, and I'm sure that this like dive back into the music is going to turn into rereading Wolf and White Van. I've had one of his other novels, is it like
Universal Harvester?
Universal Harvester has been on my nightstand for ages, and even though I swore I would not revisit it because it will make me extremely sad, but his 33 1/3 on
Master of Puppets,
no, it's not Master of Puppets. It's the Black Sabbath album. Vince.
I can't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yes, hello.
Black Sabbath album starts with Sweet Leaf. What is the name of that album? Master of Reality. There we go.
Master of Reality.
Google.
Okay, I think that's why Master of Puppets. Okay.
Yeah, that associationist learning makes sense. I'm a psychologist. Yeah, it's any of all those books, but that particular the 33 1/3 book he wrote is devastating to read.
Yeah, it sounds.
Sorry,
like
I wasn't right there with that. I put on All Hail West Texas while I was listening to you guys talk about it because I don't know like anything about this band.
It's a good experience. Just in general, it's. I think there is a pre-post in my life in regard to like discovering the Mountain Goats. Mostly because I went to Lollapalooza and they were playing before Coldplay. And one of my friends that I used to play TF2 with said, I was like, I don't know any of these bands. I'm going to Lollapalooza. Who should I see? And they're like, no matter what you do not miss the Mountain Goats. No, they're opening for Bright Eyes, which is way better than Coldplay.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I got to see, and it was on my birthday. So I saw the Mountain Goats for the first time, and they played Cubs and Five in Chicago. And then I got to walk across I guess the festival space to go see Bright Eyes, and they played Road to Joy on my birthday as a closer, and then the band disbanded, and I was like, oh wow, I did it.
Wow. Holy shit.
Oh, good times. Anyway, that's like basically it. I haven't been playing a lot of stuff. I've mostly been, working, staring at walls and losing time, and listening to stuff and trying to cook stuff.
Not a bad place to be though. I mean, other than the fact that, kind of being stuck in place right now.
Yeah,
but
could be worse. I got a good dog.
Good things to be doing. Yeah. You got a good noodle. You got Hazel.
Oh. Anyway, yeah, that's it for me this week. And I'm sure we're going to talk about the Mountain Goats more later on.
Oh, absolutely. There is a 100% chance that we end up talking about the Mountain Goats more, whether it's on this episode or another episode.
Our next spinoff podcast.
Yes.
We only listen to the Mountain Goats.
Oh god, which, by the way, if you're interested in the Mountain Goats, there's a really good podcast called I Only Listen to the Mountain Goats, and it's John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats, and I can never remember his name, but he's the guy behind Welcome to Night Vale, and they go through the albums. Yes, Joseph Fink, and they go through the albums track by track, talking about everything behind them and how it's related to the current day, and then at the end of the episode, someone covers the song. It's really, really good listen.
Yeah, Laura Jane Grace's cover of Best Ever Death Metal Band Out of Denton is nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fucking good. All right, Snooze, you gotta take us out of here. We've been talking about Mountain Goats.
We're gonna just stay here. We need to be rescued.
Yeah, we need you to come in and break things up for us.
Okay, I have a question. Do you guys know who Kathleen Harris is? Kathleen Hanna, rather.
No.
I know the name, but I'm blanking on
Um,
who.
She is the lead singer, I believe, from Bikini Kill and La Tigra.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you mentioned that this Mountain Goats dude, that album, All Hail West Texas, that you like it because I think you said it is literally just him in his bedroom with like a bad microphone recording some songs.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
So I forget the exact timeline of this. There's actually a documentary about Kathleen Hanna called The Punk Singer that at least used to be on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the timeline, but basically, like, some stuff happened with Bikini Kill, and like she was like really depressed and just like moved back in with her parents or something. And she made a record called Julie Ruin, and it is also pretty much that. It's just instead of being sad boy music, it's sad girl music.
I could use
But
some
it's like
sad girl
just her
music in my life.
It's like her in her bedroom with like her living with her mom or something with like a Casio keyboard and like a 4-track kind of thing.
That sounds
Yeah.
really good.
I was gonna say that sounds like right up the same kind of alley, and I'm definitely into it.
Yeah, I recommend. It is a good album. My favorite song on it is Apartment Number 5
All
All right, I'll give it a listen.
because I've definitely lived the life of that song.
All right. So where do we go from here? We can't talk about West Texas anymore.
You can.
But I don't know. As far as my week has been going, California has been under shelter in place for a while now, so this is just everyday life at this point. But introverts rise up. I am living. I talk to many fewer people on a daily basis, so that's nice.
Y'all will inherit the
I don't know.
earth at this point. I'm like scratching at the walls. I don't know what to do with myself. And it's like I see all my introvert friends like, I read a book today.
Yep. Read a book, catch up on some movies, buy a grocery once in a while.
A single grocery.
I've been thinking about going out. Well, I mean, I stocked up before, so I don't have to get that much. But once in a while, I'm like, I need candy, or I
Yeah.
ran out of beer or something. But I've been thinking about going out to get some food for the first time in like 2 weeks because there's a really good Korean restaurant, and they make sundubu, which is
Ooh.
like the spicy. If you don't know, it's like spicy Korean tofu stew.
Mm-hmm.
And the place is just really good, and I don't want them to go out of business, so I want to go buy some things from them. They're still open for takeout.
Hell yeah. Important to note too, by the way, sundubu is served at approximately 500 degrees Fahrenheit.
It definitely is.
It's so fucking hot. It's so good though. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely 1,000,000% worth getting a good bowl of sundubu.
It is extremely boiling when you get it.
Yes, and it's served usually in like a stone bowl too, so it stays boiling for like.
Yeah, it's got to stay warm. That's how you're supposed to eat it. And then I learned a new thing from my Korean friend here in LA, which maybe everybody else knew this, but like, you know how if you get the, like you get rice in a stone bowl, and the stone bowl is very hot, like in bibimbap, and you leave it on there, it like crisps up, right? So when you get the sundubu and they give you the bowl of rice, you scoop out all the rice and throw that into your stew because that's how you're supposed to eat that. But then you just pour a little bit of water into the remaining rice bowl, and like as it still cooks, it's still super hot, but the water cools it off a little faster, and all of the rice kind of like dissolves into it. And then when you're done with your meal, you get this like just like very slightly sweet rice drink that you drink at the end of your meal. It's pretty good.
Ah, dang. Learning new
I gotta give
things.
that a shot. That's the tech.
And speaking of being a horrible, I guess Koreaboo is the term for that now. I have been listening to old, I don't know. So I got into K-pop like many years ago, and I guess this is like YASEcast time this week.
Yeah, this is basically where we're at.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. This is like, it seems lame to say, but I kind of don't like it as much because everybody else is into it now. It's like popular in the West. And like, I mean, that's fine or whatever. But the whole thing that I used to like about it was that it was like not it was different. It was not westernized pop music,
Yeah.
And so now like people are doing like collaborations with Western doing collaborations with Western musicians and like English songs. And I'm just like, whatever, man. But so I've been going through old playlists and organizing those, and like I really miss like circa 2013 K-pop. So it was just like, I don't know, there was like a period where we just like kind of aping Western music or J-pop, and then like now it's whatever it is now, but like transitional period where it was like becoming its own thing. It's really good. I'm glad I have these old playlists to go back to.
It's good to
I
have
feel like
some.
that's when I had my first brush with listening to K-pop too, because I found my way into listening to like SNSD, Girls' Generation, like right around that time. I was like, oh fuck, this is good as hell. And then I ended up falling off completely, but yeah, that was definitely like I feel like at least an era of it picking up a lot of Western fans.
Yeah, it was definitely like, I mean, it was popular enough that it was findable. It wasn't like you didn't have to like literally live in Korea to find it, you know, but it was still like kind of just this, it's like that period where you discover a new band. It's like, oh, this is this weird thing that nobody else knows about, and it's like my thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like now it's everybody else's thing, and I'm like, I gotta go find some other weird thing so that nobody knows what I listen to anymore.
No, I totally feel that. Like I've gone on that arc with a couple of different types of music and stuff where it's like you kind of know something before it was like, I guess, a Vogue thing. I think my closest touchstone is probably getting involved in the queer community in DC. Everybody knows Transgender Dysphoria Blues, the Against Me album. Not as many people at sort of the queer meetups are familiar with like Reinventing Axl Rose and the Untitled EP. So it's sort of one of those things where it was like Against Me was this band that was like really, and is very important to me. But I do have that moment where I'm like, fake fans.
Yeah, I really like. I hate that I feel that way.
I do too.
Like, I know it's really stupid, but I'm also. It's just like, I don't know. It just turns me off of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things where, like, music and community and all that, like, we get invested in the art and the media that we partake in and our relationships to them. And when you start seeing like, well, other people have this relationship now, and it's like different than mine. I don't know. It's like a weird thing. Sometimes I catch myself getting kind of defensive about stuff, and then like I don't like that, and I have to like take a step back and be like, oh no, other people can enjoy things, but
yeah, not everyone needs to have the same, not even taste in music, but the same like likes and dislikes about certain bands, you know. And I've definitely had that when I was younger with Coheed and Cambria, where it's like people like blasting Favorite House Atlantic off and Keeping Secrets, because that was the popular song at the time, and I was like, whatever, there's a lot better songs in this album. And I was this bitter, I almost said old, but bitter young, well, you're not even listening to the best songs in the album, you don't even know what the album's about, you know what the crazy concept story that Claudio Sanchez has written. And realistically, I don't think anybody knows, even Claudio.
Nobody knows. So
all I know is Mayo.
There you go.
I know a good portion of it, just because there was one point where my friend and I in high school were dicking around in gym class, and the coach got mad, yelled at us, and told us to go run laps. So while we were running laps, my friend explained to me like the entire lore up to that point of the Coheed and Cambria universe. And I was listening to it like, because I was one of those people just like, yeah, I really just know about like Favorite House Atlantic and like Three Evils and like with the radio singles off of those albums. And all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, there's like a comic book and like an incomprehensible hard sci-fi story.
Yeah, incomprehensible is definitely the key word there. And the parts that are comprehensible, some of them are pretty suspect.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just all Claudio has some stuff he's got to work out, I think. And I think that's as far as we're going to go into that.
Yeah, it's I also ended up rewatching Castlevania with my partner over the weekend, and even she picked up like people are just working, like whoever's writing this is working through some things, and that's basically the Coheed and Cambria effect. Like, what else is fiction for?
I still have thoughts on season 3 of Castlevania, but that not my time to bring those up. Not my time.
We've only talked about it for like 2 consecutive weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So,
I then brought it up like a couple weeks before.
It's okay. We can make it 3.
All right.
Just the fucking Alucard sex scene, like it's out of fucking nowhere. It's just so out of left field, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Okay, I guess I'll go along with this. So it's like,
Okay, I guess I'm fine now.
Just why? There's no reason for it.
It's so.
I definitely felt like Warren Ellis just really wanted to write a sex scene, and that's why that B story was in there.
Yeah, but there was the other B story with a sex scene, though.
Okay, he really wanted to write 2.
I guess I just don't know, like, so what was the point of his arc in season 3 to be like, show him kind of, becoming more evil or something, if at all?
That's what I took it as. Is like my father was right about humans.
Yeah, and then he did what his dad did. He put them on pikes afterwards in front of the castle to warn people away.
I think they're kind of doing like it's supposed to be. I mean, it's obviously like half a season, right?
Yeah.
But I think where I see it going is they're kind of like establishing this like cyclical kind of thing with all of these stories. So like, Alucard like was born to like Dracula and his mom, and then like his mom died and Dracula went crazy, so like now he's alone. And then he met Sypha and Trevor, and they did a thing, but then they went off to do their own thing, and like now Alucard's alone again. And then he met these 2 new people, and like some other thing happened, and now he's alone again. So it's kind of this like everybody leaves him sort of like cyclical story thing going on.
That makes sense.
Can he hang out in the sunlight though? Well, I guess he wanted to protect the castle and the keep and all that from falling into the wrong hands or some shit. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it seemed clear to me that like he definitely could fix, say, the engine that moves the castle if he wanted to. Like when they were asking him, "Oh, can you show us the moves?" He's like, "Well, just the way that was delivered seemed very like." In reality, he could. He just like doesn't want to because he just wants to be here and like wallow in his misery.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of cyclical natures, Hector made some bad choices. Hector was very dumb.
Hector also made some good choices.
Yeah, that was another thing I was thinking about. Like Hector starts out like he's working with Dracula, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to kill literally all the humans." And Hector's like, secretly, like as he said to what's her name in season 3, he's kind of like, "Well, I just assumed like he wouldn't kill me though. I never thought the leopards would eat my face."
He's basically Hector is a centrist.
And then like he just did that again. Like then he got captured by Carmilla, and marched across and whatever, they threw him in jail and some stuff happened, and then he went, "Well, surely the lion won't eat my face this time."
Although to be fair, to be fair to Hector and Isaac, there, Dracula did stick up for them countless times against the other vampires that were there. So like,
I mean, that is true, but like you're working for a guy whose stated goal is genociding the human race. Yeah. And like you really think you're special to the god vampire? I mean, I get it. There's reasons that they behaved like you did, but that's what I'm saying. Where I think it's kind of sort of trying to establish this like cyclical relationships with everybody, and the same thing with Isaac. I mean, I hate Isaac. I think he's really stupid, like dumb character, like a fine character. I just hate him personally because he spends like the entire second season being like, he walks around with monsters. And he's like, "Why is everybody so rude to me?" And we talked about that last week. Like this season, he just keeps doing the same thing. And so like all of these characters, it seems like they're all stuck in these cycles. And I think that's kind of what they're, I assume like, season 4, like, oh, we're going to like, somebody's going to break out of a cycle or something. But I think that's kind of like the overarching theme.
Yeah. Going back and rewatching seasons 1 and 2. And then getting into season 3 with my partner here I did pick up on some other stuff, and it did reframe things. It just made me feel really bad for Hector. He's just such a gullible boy. He's just like a gullible, horny boy, and just bad things happen to him all the time.
Can't trust vampires, bro. Watch some more movies.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a counterexample. Does Blade count?
No, Blade's only half a vampire.
Okay, you can all right. Can you only half trust the half vampire, or is it like an all or nothing deal?
What?
So like you can trust Blade, but Blade's only half a
Oh,
vampire.
I
So
thought you
like
said
what
dress,
percent of
not trust.
vampire?
My ears are not working.
Oh no. Like what percent does the vampire become untrustworthy?
I don't know how to answer that one, but I'm gonna say that Blade is only trustworthy because of his human side. Like the lesson of most vampire stories is like you can't trust the vampires. Not that there are not exceptions, but
But Twilight.
We're about to get a lot of hate mail from vampire listeners. We're stepping on a dangerous line.
Of which I am one. I'm personally offended. I am a big team vampire. Rewatching this series, I also realized that like Carmilla and all of the other vampires that she worked with, they're kind of like, at least they do things. At least they try to do things at the very least.
I
want to clarify that I didn't say the vampires aren't right sometimes, but as a human, you cannot trust them.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair.
Noted.
That's
Noted.
fair.
Their goal is to eat you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Who's the worst vampire in media?
Oh, in media?
Me having flashbacks to all of my old Vampire the Masquerade books right now.
I have my old Vampire the Requiem books next to me.
I'm going to go ahead and answer for you guys, and it's Vamp from Metal Gear Solid. He just fucking sucks. He just fucking sucks so much.
Does he? I don't know if he counts, though. He's like not really a vampire.
Okay. I just wanted to introduce that question just so I could hate on Vamp. Really?
I mean, no, go off. Really go off. Vamp is terrible, and you're welcome to go.
Stupid.
Drag him, King.
He's the fucking. In one character, he perfectly summarizes everything that's fucking bad about Metal Gear Solid 2. He's fucking pointless. He's incredibly convoluted for no reason. He sucks. He sucks so fucking much. Everything
Vamp is
about
so
him.
bad. Oh my god.
He sucks. I fucking hate him. The only good thing about Vamp is that I remember when I was over my friend's house, we were playing the game on PS2 when it first came out. And he's fighting Vamp in this little square room, and he's like trying to go into first person view and shoot him with his pistol. I said, "Wait a minute, shoot him with the fucking rocket launcher instead," and we did, and it was a great time. That's the only positive thing that's ever happened involving Vamp.
Well, I'm glad you had that experience.
It was great. Shoot that Dracula with a fucking rocket launcher.
Last week we talked about Ambient Dracula. This week we're blowing up Dracula.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Ambient Dracula.
All right, Lamo.
I think
what have you been up
with
to?
A rocket launcher is the proper response.
Yeah, oh god, Ambient Draculas. What have I been up to? It's a very
my wife.
question.
My wife. You killed my wife.
Dracula wife guy. Let's see. So over the weekend, I was up late. I couldn't get to sleep, and I had a very strange urge to listen to Nine Inch Nails, despite having never actually listened to a Nine Inch Nails album.
Oh, where's Dave? We need to get David in here.
Usually, it's like I heard Closer, and I think that's the only Nine Inch Nails song I'd probably ever heard front to back. And so I hop on Discord. It's at least midnight, and I'm like, hey, I want to listen to Nine Inch Nails. Where do I start? And Snooze recommends The Downward Spiral.
It's the album.
And so an hour later, I'm like, yeah, it's fucking rules. I fucking love this shit. So I got very heavy into Nine Inch Nails over the weekend. I listened to that album a couple times through now. Yeah, it's a fucking mood. It's obviously a very dark album, but incredibly good listen. And now I'm going to try and dig into their discography a bit more. I've heard actually a lot of the albums based on what the conversations we were having in text. A lot of them sound very different. There's not really many that kind of sound similar. And I heard some comparisons to TV on the Radio, which is a band I really like. So I'm looking forward to digging into some of that stuff. I think Year Zero was one of the ones that was recommended that was kind of similar to TV on the Radio. So I want to start there a little bit. But yeah, I'm super stoked to dig into that more. But more so than listening to Nine Inch Nails over the past couple days, I've been doing a lot of rewatching one of my favorite TV shows of all time. If you've ever watched Home Movies, you're probably... I feel like it's a very cult show. People who have watched it seem to really like it. They either click with it or they don't. but good lord, I love home movies. It's kind of what's the best way to put it? Kind of like Adult Swim royalty in some sense. Brendan Small, who later on did Metalocalypse, it's essentially his show. Was it John H. Benjamin? I can never remember what the order is there. He's on it throughout the entire series as an alcoholic soccer coach for one of the kids. Actually, for technically all the kids, but it's such a fucking good show. I recently found out that most of the first season was improvised. But it's done to such great fucking effects that it doesn't feel like they were just making shit up on like as it goes. But everything else has a very natural feel to it, which is kind of why I loved it. There's also a really good the relationship between Brendan and his mom on the show, Paula, is so organic, and I think the reason why I loved it so much as a kid when I'd watch it was because growing up similar, single mom, being a very sarcastic piece of shit, it just kind of reflected a lot of the things that I kind of saw in my own relationship with my mom. And so a lot of the humor really landed and really stuck because of that. And later seasons move away from a lot more of that improv format into a lot more scripted things, and it's still a fantastic show. It's 4 seasons, so it's not too long. I think the humor is still just... I'm still laughing my ass off in almost every episode. But good lord, have any of you seen the show before?
I definitely watched it, but that was like when it was
I have
airing
not.
on Adult Swim, and I was like in high school. So I think a lot of the humor went over my head at the time. But whenever I see clips or like, I'm sure that people in our Discord have actually like plugged it or like sent stuff, and I'll watch it. My dad is like the funniest shit, and like I think I'm at a point now in life where it would be funnier to me. And I don't know. Like, hearing you talk about it like makes me want to revisit home movies. And that's
so fucking good.
that is blowing my mind that they improv that first season, because I've seen a couple of those episodes and like they are funny.
It's so fucking good. There's an episode in the first season where Bren really wants to get a puppy, and so they end up cat sitting their neighbors. They're like very like rich neighbors' cat. And so they're over and they're talking about like, okay, well here's the cat's here's the cat and here's what it looks like. And they're telling the cat's name is Alexandre. It's like, so it's kind of like looking. There's like a pause. Like, do you mean Alexander? Is the cat's name? Did you mean to name the cat Alexander? But then you got tired halfway through. And I don't know why, but that line always just fucking sticks with me every single time. With just like the confusion of did you stop naming it in the middle? Did you just quit halfway?
It's so fucking funny.
Love it. I love it so much. It's such a good show.
Oh, all right. I definitely want to revisit it. I think also 9 Inch Nails. I might try to go on that same journey because
I was gonna try to bring this back to 9 Inch Nails myself.
yeah, I
Here we are.
We're back. 9 Inch Nails and Trent Reznor is like the Trent Reznor extended cinematic and musical universe is something that's like always been sort of like in the periphery or like background of my listening, and like there are 9 Inch Nails songs I really like. I adore the Johnny Cash cover of Hurt.
Oh my god, it's so good.
And particularly Trent Reznor's response to it, which this is my like hearing through the grapevine through friends, but I guess Trent Reznor heard that cover and at first was like, I don't really get it. And then he saw the video and he was like, oh yeah, that's absolutely like his song now. Like, yeah. I wrote it, but that's a Johnny Cash song.
Yeah.
I disagree.
I think the quote was like,
I am not
it's
a
like,
fan of
it
that
feels
cover.
like someone stole his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, yeah, it's yours now, I guess, man.
It's like, I lost. It's episode 13 of the anime and she didn't pick me.
So you said you really like Mr. Self-Destruct on the Downward Spiral, right?
Yes, I really like that song.
In my opinion, you should give Broken a listen. It's like 6 minutes. It's like 6 songs. I think it's 6 songs and like 2 secret tracks. And it's just pretty much like peak, like fucked up guitars, angry Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails music. Like I said, it's like 6 songs, so it's really easy to get through.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so one of the things I was talking about, too, to kind of give a bit of reference to this, I love songs that use, and this actually ties into my favorite TV on the radio song. But I love when bands will use guitars like heavily distorted, is kind of just making a lot of like weird, not a lot of weird like background or like rhythm noises. Not as much as, okay, we're gonna have our lead guitar and it's gonna be doing this. It's like, no, we're gonna make a bunch of really weird, fucked up noises with guitars. And it's gonna sound just strange as shit, and it's gonna provide kind of like the atmosphere for the song. That's what I fucking want. And so,
I'm like, honestly, I think like the older stuff might be better than that. I mean, I haven't listened to the newer Nine Inch Nails too much myself. Like, I know it was like part of it's because it was like a thing I was into in high school, right? So like I like the albums that were out when I was in school, like of course. But like the Downward Spiral, like that. I mean, you listen to that, that's like really, it's got a bunch of like weird stuff. When the Fragile came out, it was actually like pretty controversial among at least like Nine Inch Nails fans, because it has like some like slow, I mean, it's a little bit weird like in retrospect, but at the time the first single off it was self-titled, and it's like kind of this like slow like ballady. I mean, it's not really like a ballad is a bad description, but the closest thing I can think of is that it's like almost a ballad.
all right.
And like Nine Inch Nails, like a lot of Nine Inch Nails fans just like hated it when it came out because they wanted, you know, Mr. Self-Destruct. They wanted the what's the March of the Pigs, or like Wish, like that kind of stuff. And it's kind of this like slow, sad, noisy, ballady kind of thing. And the Fragile still has like a bunch of like just like weird background noises, or like guitars that are distorted out into just like sort of like ethereal like pads and stuff. And it's really strange. And like I listened to With Teeth a little bit and Year Zero, and they're cool and everything, but I always thought of those as more just like straight up like rock albums, and they don't really have the same like weird atmospheric thing to them as much to me. I mean, they're still good, but it was just like I think there's a very clear division between like pre and post the Fragile Nine Inch Nails.
Well, shit. All right, yeah, I'll have to get that a listen to.
All right. I think that's our homework for this week, is to get really into Nine Inch Nails and become goth.
Yep, that sounds about right.
All right. So anybody have anything else they want to bring to the table? Or are we thinking this might be a good spot to close it for the week?
I really was hoping Jay was going to be down to come on tonight, because he's been digging through a lot of PS1 JRPGs lately, and he's currently playing a favorite of mine, Legend of Dragoon.
It's a favorite of mine too.
Have you played through the whole game?
I was a child. I think I got to toward the end of it and then hit a wall, and
Okay.
I don't remember finishing it. I might have,
Okay.
though. It's been many. If it has, it's been like 20 years since I played it.
So that's actually the same. I got stuck at the final boss because I didn't let me skip all the random encounter battles, and because it took so long, I just always use that. So I never leveled up, and I got there and I was way under leveled.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Jay talking about one character having very hard, Lavitz having very hard to do additions, and all I could think about was, by the way, spoilers for Legend of Dragoon. By the way,
All
throwing
right.
that one out there.
I think you had like a 20-year moratorium on that, so it's like
Well,
it's
only
not
because
spoilers
I know-
anymore.
It's really just me saying this to Jay if he's listening, because I know he's playing through the game for the first time right now blind.
Okay, that's fair then.
Yeah, good luck, buddy. When Lavitz dies, you have to play as Albert in Lavitz's spot, and all of his shit is so much faster than Lavitz.
Yeah, I remember that.
His
Even
additions
now,
are
I was like, what the?
impossible.
I remember Lavitz's additions being hard, and then I remember Albert coming in. I was like, why is this harder? And also,
Now
Rose
they're harder and
Storm.
faster. I could never fucking get Gust of Wind Dance down.
Gust
so-
of Wind Dance. Yeah, I remember
so
even the
fucking
voice clips from all the
hard.
combos. Yes.
Oh, yeah. When I started playing, because I downloaded it and started playing an emulator, and I'm playing as Dart and doing the volcano, and just go volcano, just because that's exactly what it sounds like. 'Cause good lord, there's some early ass voice acting on there, and a plot that was probably not localized very well at all. It's a
watched
rough plot or script reading through it again. Hoo boy.
I actually went and watched like a plot summary video before we did this because I also thought Jay might be coming on here.
Uh-huh.
And it is whack. It is really, it's just whack. It doesn't, like, I thought maybe I was a kid and the plot like went over my head. Like Final Fantasy VIII went over my head as a kid. I didn't get that it was about like PTSD and trauma.
Yeah.
This one did not. It just is that convoluted.
It's convoluted, but then it's also just like character development options where it's like she's so happy to be nothing more than a housewife throughout the entire game, or at least in the early parts of it.
She's boring.
It's like, I can't wait to become a good wife, and it's like, this is why I never fucking keep you in the party. You're boring as shit. Also, you do no fucking damage.
She's a bad character.
Party. Yeah, she sucks. She sucks.
Ugh. But
Yeah.
all right. Rose is hot. I'm just gonna put that one out there too.
I wonder. Well, Rose is also old as shit, though.
Yeah, but she's got that like.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not gonna go further with this.
Listen, you're not wrong.
We're not gonna go further with this.
I think it's just she has that silence. Yeah, she does.
Oh. Also, going back to the roster, I totally forgot about the Purple Dragoon. Like as a character, he just like doesn't register in my brain. Yeah.
He's cool as shit, but then they introduce him. Then okay, well, yeah, you've been introduced. Now hang out in the back of the party till the end of the game when we throw you a bone for some story stuff, like we do with everyone else. Yeah, but hey, it's an early-ish PS1 JRPG. You know, don't go in expecting that you're going to be playing another Chrono Trigger or something like that. But it's still worth playing, in my opinion.
Maybe we can revisit this if and when Jay gets here. But there's one PlayStation RPG that, for some reason, keeps coming up in my brain whenever I try to make like a list of games. And I'm not sure if anyone else has ever really played this, but it's called Guardians Crusade.
I've never even heard of it.
It is I remember it being a very interesting game. It's an RPG. You basically play as a dude, and you have this like baby monster with you. And as you play through the game, the monster learns new forms. And with that gets like new techniques, and it has like kind of a pet sim element to it. But you also can summon party members in the form of toys that like come to life. It's like it's a cool game, and it's one of the few games in that era of like PS1 RPGs that like I played and beat to completion because it was just really fun. Yeah, I was just curious if like you had heard of it because it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely haven't. PS1 library is so fucking big though too. Oh my god,
it's absolutely massive, and it's got so many good titles. So I think everybody's got like that like niche PS1 RPG or title that they can drop in a conversation and be like, oh yeah, I love this one really hit me right. And not everyone in the room is going to get it because that was an era of like the wild west of a lot of stuff where like you had high quality titles that were coming out and even being localized, but maybe weren't marketed super well, didn't have as much mass market appeal. I'm also a big fan of Breath of Fire 3. That comes up a lot when I think about, favorite games.
I've never gotten into that.
I don't really play a lot of JRPGs, but I've been having a lot of nostalgia for like PS1 era games, so that could be a week of the show sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be fucking down with that.
Since we're apparently all playing them right now.
Yeah, that might be.
Or at least have played.
Maybe next week or in a future week we can get talk about PS1 RPGs.
We'll get the right combination together for that. Because can we talk about how bad the N64 is too? Can we do that as well? Fuck the N64.
We'll go off. Hold it for that week.
Hold it for that episode. All right.
Keep that vitriol contained.
I'm compacting it down inside me in my core. I'm gonna grow this hatred and strengthen it.
Sounds good. All right. So, are we good to end here?
I think we are good.
All right.
This feels like a good feels like a tight episode. I'm down with it.
It feels right. It's about an hour of recording here. So, all right, let's plug the pluggables. Where can y'all be found on the internet?
I'll go first, I guess.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at lamo_SD. I had to stop and think for a second. I was like, shit, what is my Twitter?
Never had to search my own Twitter.
There you go. You can find me on Twitch at just twitch.tv/lamo. No dashes or nothing fancy in there. Just keep it simple. That's it right now. I mean, I say this every week. I'm hoping to start getting on a regular schedule for streaming some Mario Kaizo stuff, maybe some other things. We'll see. Now that I have my microphone in that I'm recording on today, should make things a little bit easier.
All right, Snooze, where can people find you?
My Twitter account is at snooze2718, which is a very bad reference if you happen to get that. Go ahead and follow that if you would like to watch me retweet all of the K-pop I'm listening to and an occasional Third Strike thing.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at fog_e and Twitch at the same. I usually stream, well, very rarely, but when I do stream, it's usually Grand Blue Fantasy Versus because I am still playing that game and I still think it's great. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for hanging out with us and keep it wavy. And that's going to be it for us this week. Bye.
Go play Animal Crossing.
Wait.
It's the good vibes that we need right now. I should have said that earlier, but go play Animal Crossing quick before Morgan cuts out the recording. Go play Animal Crossing
Before it goes away forever.